Well, hello YouTubers again. I've got this 56-inch long stick here that's all tapered down and finished, and it's ready for the embellishments. And today, kind of unusual, this is going to be dedicated to an insect that only comes around every so many years here in the Midwest and around, and got quite a metamorphosis process to go through when it gets here. Stay with me and you'll find out all about it. Yeah, now first I'm going to drill a hole in this resin ball that I made. And you see this wood part right here is a little off center, so I'm going to drill a hole about the center of that. And that way the dowel that goes in, holds it on top of the stick, don't show up. Now, a lot of times I'll just hold it and I'll drill the hole. I've done a lot of those, and I want to show you a safe way to do that. A lot safer than just holding it in a hand and drilling a hole. If you have these wooden clamps, I'll purchase these at Harbor Freight. But what you do is just cut you a couple notches right straight across from one another. I'll show you how to use them. So here we are, we lay that down. I like to turn it over where I can crank it up a little bit. Now here's the hole that we're going to drill, and you get it in there and that notch will hold it just fine. Lay it on your table surface. Try to get it to where you're going to drill your hole straight down in the bottom. So just eyeball that, crank it up, crank that handle down pretty tight. And with your wood, it don't scratch your resin ball that you make. Now I like to start out by taking my punch and making a little spot there and drill a pilot hole first. I want a 1/4-inch hole in there because I want to cut a 1/4-inch rod that will anchor this to the shaft, to my stick. So first I start out with a 3/64-inch pilot hole, and I just, now with that held in there like that, I'm just going to drill it a little bit. Don't want too much because I don't want it to show. You need about a 1/4-inch hole in it. And I'll chuck up on the 1/4-inch bit now, and I will, that's enough for that. Got to have a piece of wood in the bottom of this. It's always best to cast your resin, if you can, with a little bit of wood to drill into. So I drilled a hole off center. That's what I'm going to put it in today. So we've got the hole in the resin, got the hole in the cane. We're going to mix up some epoxy now. And what I found out, that's a handy little thing. You just leave it right in that V there to keep it from rolling off your workbench while you're gathering your other stuff. And what I'll do now is get some epoxy mixed up and cut me a little short piece of 1/4-inch dowel, and we'll anchor this thing right to the end of that stick. Okay, here we are, set up to glue the ornament on the end of the stick. Now these AB weld, I use Part A, it's Part A and B resin, and super glue 5-minute epoxy. So what I'll do, now it has a red and it has a black cap comes with it, so you don't get it mixed up. And I'm just going to run me a couple of little beads here and eyeball them about the same. It's like a real thick CV glue, and I always just put my little cap right back on it when I get done. But make you 2 puddles there side by side that's about the same size. And I always look at them and I can get it just right every time. Take my popsicle stick and get it mixed up. Now you don't have to mix it as much like the regular pour into a mold. I only mix this about, it's less than a minute for sure, and pretty much does it. But you got to get it mixed well. It'll almost mix itself. It'll harden up, I'll guarantee you, on there. Be so hard you can't break it off. Now what I do here now, I'll leave that ball right there in in that spot, but I'll gather me some up on the end of that stick and put it right around that hole and right on the bottom. Now I'll take this stick. Remember, I drilled a hole in this already, and that dowel is going to go into it. And you want to make sure you don't have any sticky on your fingers when you pick up your ball, because that'll leave an impression there. Now take the ball, you got epoxy on the hole there, got epoxy there, and that's all already welded in. Now you hold your stick down into the offset hole, and we'll stick it right down on there, and then we have to turn it to where it kind of centers up to the radius of your stick. That ball is stuck on there, you can see right there. I got to set that aside and let that dry for about 5 minutes, and it's hardened up and it's not going to go anywhere. And then we'll put a paracord nest on there, and that nest hides the joint between the ball you're putting on there and the stick. It makes a good transition. Now today, again, I'm going to put a paracord nest to make the transition from my ball here to the stick. And for that, I'm going to be using a 5/32 diamond braid is what they call it. I bought me a 75-foot bundle of that and a 55-pound load limit, which we're not really care about. I like to use, I use 1/8 most of the time, but you can use 1/8, 5/32 is just a little bit over. And, stay away from the 1/4 inch for the handles and the paracord nest. They don't work out too good. And if this demonstration is not real clear to you, you can go to another. I don't know if I'll try to put a card up the top, right up there, or if I'll put at the end of this video, I'll have a link at least to another video where I describe in detail about how to make a paracord nest. And that's the same process I'm using today. I got about a 5-foot piece because I'm not going to wrap it real heavy. A longer piece, you know, you can put more wrap on it. But I found 5-6 foot is just about right. I found the middle. Tie this around here, and I'm going to tie it in just a ordinary, just a slip knot like you were tying a shoe. And tie it right about the middle, and right on that crack, you tighten it up. Right on where that crack is. Now, if it don't want to stay tight, what you can do is use a little CA glue, which I often do. So I'll tighten it and hold it. While I'm holding that tight, I'll use a drop of CA glue right on the knot. It'll kind of wick it together, hold up about 5 seconds, and it's not going anywhere. The knot then don't slip out. You can turn it loose. Now on the opposite side, I want another knot the same. I'll pull it up on the opposite side of that, and I'll let it wrap and tighten up on the resin sphere side. And I'll tighten it up like so. Now, you do that, pull it up tight, bring it around. When you put your knot in it this time, make sure again, before you pull it up, that you've got it pulled up tight on there. And you kind of hold it snug, like so, and pull it down again. Now, after you make a few wraps, that knot you'll find will stay in place a little better. And it does better if you tighten it up and then kind of hold it tight as you snug up on it, and that will keep it for you. There's another one. Now this one, I'm going to let it come down on the stick like that, and then down on the stick again, right there. And that's what we want. And I look around and make sure that it's got the seam where the stick joins the ball, you want to make sure that crack crevice is covered. Or when you decide where the end of it's going to be, put another little drop of CA and let it kind of wick together right there where your crossover knot is there, and just hold it a little while, 15 seconds, you can turn it loose. It won't go out on you or nothing. So now you see that is real tight and nice up against the stick all the way around with no wood, crystal, and it's right on that. Now, what we're going to do is cut this and do the tuck thing. I'll tuck it under another string somewhere just to hide that end. Now I've pulled out about 20 foot off of this big coil that I have, and I found that 20 foot is just about right to give you a nice grip. After you do this a while, you'll get used to cutting your paracord off without leaving too much of a waste. But what I want to do now, I've decided to put a wrap here. I started earlier, I was just going to drill a hole and run a paracord through, but I've decided this is a kind of a special stick, so I'm going to put a paracord wrap on the handle also. So what I'm going to do, the handle wrap is going to cover up the hole that I put in it for to put the wrist strap through. And so just a demo that not the end of the world. If you got a hole in it, cover it up. And here's how you do that. Pull your loop up. Have your loop about big as you want it there, you think. 10 inches above the knot is fine. I want to come back and just loop it around, tie me a nice knot, and have the knot come down to where there's only about an inch of that paracord sticking out. Now we got a little bit right there. We got more than an inch, so that'll be plenty. And you don't have to make it too tight there. Just make a nice little knot and have your wrist strap comfortable to go in like so. And that'll take a big hand or a small hand. Now what I want to do is cut this. If you have some fringe inner nylon cord coming out, just clip it off right now. You don't want to have to deal with that. Now what we'll do, take the loop, lay it in your hand like so, and I have another video on how to do this also. That may be a little more clear. But what I'm going to do, lay it in the right hand, loop it over to the left, and then you take that loop, it's just hard to show here, run it over the end of your stick, and the loop back through. That gives you a knot there that this loop here, the little pigtail you got, is underneath that. Now, what you want to do is tighten it up pretty tight, but look at your hole here. I want to go just above that by about a ½ inch, because that's about where I wanted the wrist strap. So have it just where it covers it up, and there you go. Now what you could do is come over here. What I've done before is run that paracord through that hole that you drilled. That will also hide the hole. So that's just a little trick. If you drill a hole and you decided that you want to wrap it and you don't want the hole there no more, you want to cover that hole up. Now I'll get that stuck down in that hole there. Now that little pigtail, I said leave an inch below that line, stick it right down in the hole. Now you can go right up to it if you want, but what we're going to do, now we'll pull it tight. It has to be tight enough, I think. Hold it in your right hand again, flip it over, bring it over and put it over the head of it and pull your loop through. That's all you do. Do it again, right here through the loop, pull it down, pull it tight, and do it again. And you keep that same process all the way down the stick. And we'll show you the results here. It's quite amazing. It's an easy way to do a paracord tie. Now you can see just a little bit of it. It's down in that hole. Now you're going to cover up the hole, holding your right hand, go right around again and pull that loop out. That's all you do. Now that obviously that won't tighten up there. It's wanting to go around to there where the knot stops. Now it's kind of kinked up. You pull it through your fingers and you can get the whirlimajigs out of it. I just make sure that it's very tight as I go along. One more loop around. We're almost 2 inches down the stick already. It's real fast. I could have this done if I wasn't talking and trying to explain things as I went along. It's extremely fast and don't take much time at all. See, there you go. I'll just shut up and do a couple and you'll see how fast it is. Right. So I've covered an inch there since I quit talking. It'll just keep on going around the stick until you get the length you want. And then I'll show you how to seal it off and you're done. I see you still have enough to go over that end, and I'm continuing to wrap as long as I got enough to go over that end. There you go. And we'll take another one. I can still get over the end. Sometimes get a hold of that end and pull it down. And after this one, it's going to be rather short. But you see I have a nice grip on there to cover that. Now, you don't have enough to wrap around and reach down. See, that comes through there. So what you do on this next round is just take it all the way around and you'll tie another knot in it. Now what I want to do, get a good old CA glue again, and I hold the stick up and I just put some under there. Hold it 15 seconds before you do much with it, and it's on there. Now you take this end and cut it off and tuck it under there. You can get it under there and get it hid, and that's what I want to do now. So I'm going to cut it right about here somewhere, and I'll get this other screwdriver under there and turn it sideways to get me a hole and trying to hold it there the best I can. And then take your other screwdriver and just tuck it right back up there, and then you pull your other screwdriver loose. Now I'm going to go and get it right under there. And then I want to hold that there and put some CA glue on that to keep that little tuck in there where I wanted it. A little bit right there. That will hold it 15 seconds. Pretty much got it. Now I don't know if I can point it out or not, but right here up close with this variegated thing, you can't see it very well, but there's a tiny spiral that goes from here and it spirals. Can you see that spiral going around the top of one there? There. It spirals all the way around that. It gives a real comfortable grip. Okay, that's about it for that. And let's get the camera turned around and review the thing. Well, looks like we have another stick made. I promised you I would show you what kind of insect this was that I'm talking about that only comes out about 7 or 8 years, 6 years. I don't know what it is right now. It's called a cicada. And the cicadas are particularly around the Midwest in the U.S. And I don't know about the other territories. The racket they make is the mating call from the male. Before the eggs are hatched, they'll go in the ground, have their eggs, then they die. They're quite a large insect. They don't bite. They don't do anything but make a noise all night long. But they go through quite a metamorphosis process because they're a worm when they first come out of the ground. Then they turn into this like insect critter, and then they stick on a tree close by generally where they're hatched out at. And there's thousands of them comes out of each worm nest or whatever you want to call it. And they will stick there and continue to grow until they get too big for that shell. They come out of that and just leaves a bug look, and you can see legs and everything there. And those things pop out, fly off. I'm going to show you what they look like. That's the two eyes. You can see it a little better right there. See the wings as we go around. That's the rear end of it here. And it's overall, this is a 2.5-inch resin ball. So its head is nearly touching here, and its wing tips or its rear end is touching the other end. It's at least 2.5 inches long. Overall, I mean, from wing out here, it's an inch from this edge of the wing to over here. The body itself is 5/8 to 3/4 wide. And you can see how wide the eyes are right there. You're looking it in the face right there. It's a weird looking creature. They sometimes come out of the ground, but hardly ever. You don't see them in this state very often. You see the carcass, the shell, where they came from. But you don't see this. What I did, I was digging a post hole outside. Come down with a post hole, come up with the dirt. Two of these things fell out. They were in there laying their eggs right where I dug the post. But they're very seldom that you stumble onto them like that. The carcass and everything was there. It just like it just died. That's when I brought it in and decided to put it in a crystal ball. That's just a stick you see right there. And that's what I drilled the hole in, going up through here to secure it to the stick. So you can see the legs and everything there. A bug or an insect, if you will. And it's black colored from its mouth area down toward each eye. It hasn't discolored any at all in the resin. I would say it would be preserved forever there. And quite interesting. But the stick itself, it rests in a nice paracord wrap. And I chose the diamond braid, which was 2 shades of green, gray, more or less closer to the insect body. And you can see the wrap that we just put on it and a handle. So there we have it. And hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because it certainly helps this channel and I would appreciate it. And thumbs up, of course, if you liked the video. And tell you what, I'll see you in the next video. How about that?